Fu Cowboy, tennis shoes on my feet.
All right, Kung Fu Cowboy here. The Kung Fu Cowboy podcast. I should be... I used to do podcasts. I was one of the original podcasters back in like 2004 or something like that. And I had like 20,000 views. I was really popular back then. And unfortunately, when I became homeless, couldn't afford my podcast fees, and I disappeared. And now 10 years later, I try to come back, and there's zillions of podcasts, and nobody's noticed me. I even re-released the old podcast, and nothing happened. They're just sitting there, and nobody cares. So anyway, being poor and being abandoned, divorced, and my kids running off, my wife running off, and leaving me homeless, didn't really benefit me. I lost a lot of things. Whatever was going good for me then, I lost. So that was the reward. That was the end of my marriage. My end of my marriage was to be destitute and homeless. And that was my reward for taking care of my kids for 20 years, 24 hours a day. Yeah, there's going to be some resentment in me somewhere. I'm just trying to say it kind of in a factual sense, not get all emotional. The pain's kind of gone. In fact, because I was such a dutiful father, Mr. Mom, every morning I had to make them breakfast, get them cleaned up and dressed, and then walk them to school every day and get them on time. My kids were only late for school 2-3 days a year, maybe. That was it. And by my fault, something happening and getting them there late. I always got them there on time, and they always ate a good breakfast, and not Pop-Tarts and cereal. I always cooked bacon and eggs, and then there's cereal and a fruit, and I always set the table properly, Martha Stewart style. I raised them really good. I would raise them better than I was raised. Let's put it that way. And yeah, okay. Let's move on. Whenever I started that conversation, I don't like where it's taking me. This song we are on is called Love Target. Okay, this is an interesting story. I recorded this song. Did I sing? I don't sing. I don't know. I wish I had my notes. There's no notes or lyrics here. Love Target. I want to say a few months ago, when I wrote it and then I recorded it. And all I did was, usually I record something in my phone and then I'll take that, transfer it to my computer, create a folder for it. And okay, then I got a little folder and the song title, and here it is. But it's just a crappy little version of the song. So I know what it sounds like, because just this chord charts, I might not pick up the melody or the attitude or the guitar riffs, that I created, or the rhythm or the speed of the song. So it's good that I have to have a recording, the initial recording that sets the vibe and the attitude of the song. It has a certain pristine value to it that I like to capture. So this song, Love Target, was about all this lifetime I've spent in romance and love and sex and relationships and living together and well, let's leave the kids out of it and everything. We'll just talk about the romantic part of it, all the relationships I've had. And I told you, I've lived with half a dozen women. So each of those was like marriages. So I've had like half a dozen marriages. And lots of relationships and dating in between there. And where did it all get me? If I had sex and love and I was, what do they call that? You're my soul love, or whatever they call my soulmate. I heard that. I'm their soulmate. Yeah, well, that didn't last forever, did it? Anyway, a soul lasts forever, so a soulmate should last forever. But where are they? So anyway, I've had lots of great love, but it was all just an illusion. It was just that animal hormones and passion misguiding us, and then we love each other because we feel happy and good together. But then the reality sinks in of who they really are and what they want in life and what it's going to require of you. Or there's always a greener pasture in your imagination. You can always imagine there's somebody who's richer and handsomer or stronger or richer or has more money or has a bigger house. So yeah, you can always upgrade if you want to be that way. So anyway, point being is, all that love. It was, in fact, do I have the lyrics here? Oh gosh, the lyrics really kind of spell it out in an interesting way. But the idea is, I've given up on love. You know, it's like, what do I care? You know, I would gladly welcome someone in my life, male or female, if they would help me. I'm not bisexual, but since sex doesn't really matter, and I've got 2 million girls to choose from on my computer, it's like, why have to go through all that hassle, rigmarole, and politics of having a relationship with someone when you can just have a relationship with an imaginary person on your computer, which is, maybe safer too. Less sexual transmission of disease, less possibility of getting someone pregnant. It doesn't cost as much as it does to date a girl, so that's another thing. If I could afford to, I might actually pay for porno, but there's so much free porno, I can't imagine having to pay for it. But there may be some chance. Actually, I hear there's ways, this whole OnlyFans, I've only heard about it. I haven't even checked it out. I've never even been to that website to see what it is. But I can, like a lot of the dating sites, I never went and checked those out either. But the OnlyFans, I guess, is a popular thing right now, whatever that is. I think I know what it is, but I don't really care, and I don't want to know. Because if it costs money, because I think you're giving money to somebody to take sexy pictures or videos, with you or something. So I don't have any money to spend on sex. Like I said, it's got to be free right now. And I don't care. The sex, like I said, I've lost I'm old enough that I think my hormonal balance has gone down. I have less testosterone. I'm less of a wild, aggressive animal, and I can be more cerebral. In fact, Socrates, if you read Socrates, and I've read everything by Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, they've written something. I think I've read them all, and many times. Read the Republic, I think 3 times. Interesting book. I have some disagreements with them, but mostly agreements. But just understanding their perspectives is illuminating. Oh yeah, so where was I? So anyway, I just don't need love. I was talking about Socrates. In one of the Socrates' writings, he talks about visiting an older senator, an older respected citizen. And he's talking to him, and the guy says, man, I am so glad that I'm older and I'm not haunted by that wild wolf inside of me, that had to be satisfied. And he called it some sort of like a wild wolf, that passion or that desire for sex. And he said now that his desire and passion for sex had been reduced, he felt more comfortable and happy and peaceful with life. And I think that's part of the problem with a lot of teenagers and young people and this rap culture, which has gotten totally out of control sexually, I guess, drugging each other and raping each other and beating each other and whatever else they're doing, which has always happened. It's not like it's new. It's just that it became acceptable. It became part of the culture more than it ever had. Now, when I moved to LA, and I can qualify a lot of this, they had sex clubs and orgies and things, back in the 70s. So I've seen sexual deviation my whole life. It's not new to me, and it's always existed, and it always will exist. But the amount of acceptability of it changes. So sometimes it gets subverted, and there's less of it. It's diminished, and then sometimes it flourishes. Like right now, it's flourishing. All this rampant sex and orgy, and it's it'll probably have hopefully it's kind of like a sine wave. Maybe it'll kind of like retreat a little bit, and people will get a little bit more, I don't know, spiritual, compassionate, less, I don't know. But anyway, I don't know how to explain that whole thing. I'm just kind of like a viewing it right now. So don't mind my comments on that, because I've seen both sides of the story. But in my own life, I've had too much sex. I honestly have gone too far myself. Not as far as these guys. Don't get me wrong. I've never had a sexually transmitted disease, and I've only had threesomes a couple of times, and they weren't my idea, and they were anyway. So it's not. So I've had my adventurous sex, but for short, brief periods, and so let's put it this way, I have satisfied every sexual imagination and possibility that I ever had, and then a whole bunch more that other people had. So I've fulfilled all my fantasies. So big deal. What's that worth me now? What's all that sex good for me now? What's it value in it? So it's very transient. It's kind of like food. You should eat what's good for you, but you shouldn't, get carried away. And I think a little bit of sex, keeps you kind of healthy in another way. But if you have to satisfy, anyway, I don't want to get preachy, and I'm not even sure where I'm going with that. But anyway, love target, that's what it is. Okay, so let me talk about the song that I recorded, Love Target. So I say I'm not a love target. And I have some interesting ways on it. And I'm kind of saying love, I'm personifying, gosh, I'm trying to think of the Greek goddesses who are Aphrodite, or the romantic sexual goddesses. But anyway, I'm making it kind of like love is both a person and a verb or whatever. And so I'm not a love target. I'm not looking for it, and I'm not the love target. And nobody else. I don't want anybody else to be even a love target. I'm not ambitiously looking for love. Not even looking for sex, but not even love, because that's what I got my cat. And my cat, he cherishes me. He lays, he purrs, and I get attention. I get physical contact with him. And I feel very satisfied with it. It doesn't have to be sex, And the time I spent with my kids, there was nothing sexual about it, but we'd watch TV and they'd be under each arm and we'd be hugging. And it was just so much love. People used to come to the door, and we'd have the screen door, we didn't have air conditioning, so we'd have a screen door at the door. They'd see me watching, Teletubbies, or maybe something better, Samurai Jack, with my kids on the couch. And I got so much adoration. The neighbors were just so amazed. Your kids love you so much. You have such a great relationship. And we did. It was the most wonderful time. I had all this love for my kid. I couldn't have been loved anymore by my kids for at least a few years. And during that period, there were certain years where I got so much love. It was just wonderful. It was just wonderful, but nothing sexual or sensual about it at all. It was just love. There's different kinds of love. And unfortunately, we're so stupid, people are unable to, and like I said, 40% of the population probably can't understand that there's other kind of love than sex. What? Really? Brotherly love, paternal love, maternal love, friendship love, respectful love out of respect. I mean, there's so many different kinds of love, if you just get a little smarter. And so anyway, I'm not looking for love. And that's what that song. Okay, the song. There's something I wanted to say real quick. So I recorded the song, and I recorded the guitar first. I think probably had a click track if I'm thinking of the song right, because I don't remember, honestly, even though it was a few months ago. Anyway, I recorded the song, and then I sang it. Unlike a lot of times I would sing and play at the same time, especially when I'm recording the song. But in this case, I honestly don't know. It could be the original version. I could have been singing and playing the guitar at the same time, because I don't remember setting up a mic. Anyway, I don't know for sure. We'll figure that out later. But anyway, it's a vocal and a guitar. And so then I cut the drums. That'd usually be the next thing, and then the bass, and then the trombones. That's how I'm doing my productions. But when I got to the drums, I realized I didn't want to put the bass, and I didn't want to put the trombones. I didn't want to put anything else on it, because I thought it was going to interfere with the song. I felt like I said it. I felt like somehow the sparseness of it, the just honest simplicity of it, to me, made it the way I wanted it to sound. So it's just a guitar strumming, a vocal, and a drum, and that's it. And I can't put. You can record it. You can take that song and put everything you want. You can put a symphony on there. I don't care. But me expressing my song, that was all I wanted. It made it felt more individual. I don't know. I tried a bunch of times to go back and do something else, and it's like, no, this is done. So anyway, what's that song released? That song is released July 4th, next month. And it actually has a pre-order. You can buy it right now as of June 4th. So some of my songs I'm experimenting. Since nobody knows who I am, they're not going to buy it when it's released. They're not going to buy it before it's released. But what the heck? I got to thinking maybe it'll give it a little more advertising. Maybe they'll promote it a little bit more if it's on pre-orders, and just to make sure people know it's there. So I'm trying to do some pre-orders. Now that I'm kind of caught up, and I'm not releasing it the same day. Okay, so July 4th, which is a day that I always like to release an American Zen song. But American Zen's done releasing songs, except, well, no, they're not. Like I said, I got 2 albums I got to release, re-release, or anyway, never been released digitally. Love Target. Okay, I got one more song, and then I'll have to upload some more songs. I got one more for Kung Fu Cowboy. I got a whole bunch of American Zen songs I've been uploading. But anyway, let's leave it for that.
must be good. I'm out of time. My time I cannot spare. But if you can fit in, I'll share. Did I hunt for love? Was it love I met? I'm not a love talking, not anymore. Not anymore. Did I hunt for love? Was it love I met? I'm not a love talking, not anymore. Not I thought you were my friend. I didn't think our friendship would ever end. But you stole my girl, never told me why. I trusted you. I must have been high. Then I found a lover, called me a soulmate. She told me that our marriage was our fate. Then she took my house. Our vows were just a lie. I trusted you. I must have been high. I look back on my mistake, trying to understand my bad breaks. But it seems no matter how hard I try, dreams are just dreams. I must have been high. So here I am again at the end of my rope. Who do I blame? I wasn't on dope. Perhaps I was born with dreams in the sky. But it's easier to explain. I must have been high. Oh, yeah, I must have been high. I must have been high. I must have been high. Oh, well, I must have been high.